United States Nation, here with Coach John Henry of the men's basketball team. Coach, thank you for taking the time out this afternoon to come speak with us. We can get into the position breakdown a little bit. Start with the guards or wherever you want to start.
Point guard, as I mentioned before, well, I haven't mentioned some of the newer guys. At point guard, Brandon Faison will be there. He's a transfer from Queens University out in North Carolina. Was a junior college All-American, big-time scorer at one point. He's a 6'2", 185-pound junior. We're expecting him to start at the point, and battling him will be Jared Peel and Chance Crusoe, freshman out of St. Louis, Missouri. Jared Peel is a redshirt freshman out of Dallas, Texas. All three of those guys, plus Q Freeman, as I mentioned before, will be playing the one spot for us. The good thing about Brandon is he could move around and play different guard spots if we needed him to. Q Cager, or Demarius, as his mom calls him. Q Cager will play some one and spot minutes as well, but we'd like to keep him off the ball if possible. Also in the backcourt, Kamari Newman, Mari as we call him, young man out of Detroit, Michigan, spent some time at George Mason as a freshman and then Oakland University as a sophomore. He's a 6'4" junior for us, can really shoot it and shoot it from deep. As deep as we've ever had, all the way back to maybe Joe Powell, some guys like that. We've been very blessed to have great shooters here, and he's in a long line of those. And then I mentioned Dexter Hood. He'll probably be the other starter at the 4. Tonight for our scrimmage, we're going with Brandon Faison, Q Cager, Kamari Newman at the 3, Dexter Hood at the 4, and Nate Gehring at the 5, with not Malik Thomas, he's sitting out for injury, with Eddie Daly and Josh Watkins probably being the top 2 guys off the bench. Other young men with us at this point, we've got more freshmen than we usually do. I mentioned Chance Caruso, he's a freshman, but we've also got Gabe Larkin, 6'5", 205 freshman out of Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont High School down the road. And it's good to have an area kid. He is as tough of a kid as we've ever had. We're working on his skill set, which isn't horrible by any means. He's going to have to play an undersized 4 or 5 for us. 6'5" isn't all that tall at our level, but he throws his body around. He's very annoying. And I've known Gabe since he was in probably 2nd or 3rd grade, competing with my son's teams. And I actually coached some of my son's teams when he was growing up, and we would play Gabe and all his little buddies, and they were always rough and tumble back then. So I've known him a long time, and it's great to finally have him on my side rather than beating on my kid and my son's friends. So Gatador, I'm going to butcher this last name, Bijigek. I just call him G. He's a freshman from Des Moines North, Des Moines, Iowa, resident, 6'4", 150. I think the 150 might actually be generous.
Wow.
He's a very, very thin kid, averaged about 16 to 18 points for Des Moines North. Great shooter with a really bad form. Fans that remember how ugly Taylor Stoutner's form was, that it went in all the time back in the day, that makes Taylor's form look great. But it goes in just as much as Taylor's does. This young man can really shoot it. We're going to redshirt him, as obviously he needs to put on some weight, but we're thrilled with him. Great kid to be around, always smiling. And then his high school teammate from Des Moines North, Lino Maluel. Lino is a fantastic athlete, 6'3", 170. I think the 170 again is a little generous. Jumps out the gym and can shoot it as well. We think these 2 young men were highly overlooked coming out of Des Moines, probably because they had a teammate named Tyreek LaCure who went Division I at University of South Alabama, and he averaged like 30 a game. So we think they're a steal. Rodrigo Soares from Texas, Timberview, Mansfield High School. He's actually originally from Lisbon, Portugal, where his father played pro for several years. 6'4", 200. The 200 might be generous in the wrong direction, as he's been hurt with an injury. We're going to slim him down a little bit. Great basketball IQ on him, and we're looking for big things at him. We're going to redshirt him as well. All 3 of those young men will redshirt. Haven't completely decided on Chance Caruso. Great passer for a freshman. As I mentioned before, out of Vashon High School. A lot of great players come out of Vashon, Division I players and pros actually. And he's an absolute steal. Great student and great player. He's going to be a fantastic player. As I mentioned, haven't decided if we're going to redshirt him or play him yet, as he's had an ankle injury. And finally, a young man who gets eligible at Christmas, can't forget this guy, Kavion Blaylock, known as KB, 6'6", 200 out of Houston, Texas. He is transferring from Queens University in North Carolina with Brandon Faison. Probably one of the greatest jumping athletes I've ever seen. Along the lines of Brandon Trotter. Trotter was an explosive jumper. KB makes it look easy. I mean, he can literally put his chin on the rim. I mean, it's outrageous how high this guy jumps. Hardworking, good young man. As I mentioned, 6'6", 200. Won't play until early January, and when we get him, we're excited because he'll add a lot to the mix. If we could have him now, I would have issues with deciding who would be in the starting lineup because he's that explosive and that good of a player.
Yeah, no, it's definitely saying something when you have guys, like Ahmad Pender and Q Cager, those guys are explosive in their own right. But, you mentioned, a lot of freshmen this year. How important is it for those upperclassmen to kind of help mold those guys and teach those guys, the statesman way? Obviously, a lot of winning tradition here. How do what kind of expectation do you put on the older guys to kind of show those younger guys?
A lot. And you said it best. It is their responsibility along with the coaches. And we've got some other. We mentioned the grad assistants and Coach Wyatt and Coach Sandquist, but we've got some other student assistants that are really helpful in that too, with knowing what we're expecting. Jordan Helms and Wade Votrebeck decided to become a coach with a year of eligibility left, and those guys help so much because they know the way. Don Hickenbottom's been with me for 15 years. They know exactly what we're trying to do. And I'm not going to break down all the entire staff because there's just so many.
Yeah.
I think we lead the nation in coaches. The officials always joke, when they come over to shake all the coaches' hands, they're shaking more coaches' hands than they are players. But, they do a good job along with the older players. I've put a lot on Eddie Daly and Q Cager, Malik Thomas, to step up their leadership and mentor. And then those three red shirts, Dexter Hood is a natural born leader as well, and he doesn't really have to say much. He's a big, strong, mean looking dude, so he can kind of just give you the look of one of those guys, and I think they'll do what he asks them to do. And it's a work in progress. We'll see. We're going to do our best and see if we can have another successful season.
Awesome, Coach. Well, thank you for taking the time out this afternoon. Best of luck this upcoming season. It's going to be another awesome ride. Watching you guys and following you guys, so best of luck and thank you.
Thank you.
Go Statesman.